I got to the studio right as they were opening, and I have a lot of work to do today. I have quite a few ideas when it comes to a holiday gift for some family members, but it's going to be hand building and not wheel throwing, which I know is going to take significantly more time. First, I started with my templates. I know overall what it is I want to make, but I wasn't quite sure the exact size until I actually got to the studio and was able to measure everything out. But I want to make some Christmas gingerbread houses out of clay. The goal is to have them be lidded jars that I can put little things inside, like maybe cookies or Christmas caramels or something. So they need to be big enough where things can actually fit inside, but I don't want them to be too big where they take too much space up on the table. So I ended up going for a height of 5.5 inches, taking in the fact that the clay is going to shrink after it's fired. So that extra 1/2 inch is just a little bit of extra give. I drew everything out beforehand so that I didn't lose track of any templates that I needed, and there are quite a few pieces that I do need. So every house will have 2 fronts, 2 walls, and then the base, 2 slats for the roof, the angled roof, and then all the little pieces for the chimney. When I was designing this box, I wanted to make sure that the whole front face of the house wasn't getting split in half because it's a lidded vessel. I wanted to make sure that the roof actually came off as one piece and then the house was a completely separate piece. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but once everything's assembled, you'll see what I mean. Next, just so that I didn't lose track of anything, I labeled how many of each template pieces I need to complete a house, just so that I didn't lose track of how many I was making or how many I needed. Then I just cut everything out. And these are all of the pieces that I will need for one gingerbread house. My next step is to slice my clay. This is a new bag of clay, and typically when I buy new bags, they're already pugged, but this one wasn't. There's all sorts of air bubbles. So I did have to wedge this before working with it. Once it was nice and wedged, I rolled it into this cube and then smacked it so that it was more of a rectangular shape. Oh my god, my hair was on this. My hair gets stuck in absolutely everything. Okay, so I smacked it into a rectangular shape because I'm going to run it through the roller, and this just makes it easier for it to pass through. I ended up adjusting the roller to a little bit thicker than 1/4 inch. I wanted the house to be still thin, but I am worried that if it's too thin as it dries, it's gonna crack. So I measured it to just a little bit wider than 1/4 inch. Once it was passed through the roller, I compressed with a rubber rib. When I was doing the research for this house, one of the things that I saw the most was that the walls will crack. And so I started reading about how people make plates because it's a very large, flat thing. And the majority of the feedback that I got was that compressing is the most important thing. So I compressed both sides before I even cut out my templates. And this is pretty much how I spent my afternoon, cutting out templates, wedging clay, rolling it out, cutting out templates, recycling, wedging, rolling it out. There were a lot of pieces because I'm actually making 4 gingerbread houses. And at first I was nervous I would be able to get all of them cut out in time because I had limited space and limited time today. So taking on 4 houses in one afternoon seemed like a crazy thing to do, but I really believed in myself. And finally, here is my final template piece, one of the fronts. I had laid out my previous cutout templates onto white computer paper, thinking that it would help prevent the edges from flipping up as they dry. But then I ended up running out of paper and running out of space. So I put the newer templates I had cut out onto plaster bats, which actually worked even better. Each slab was able to dry evenly and it completely dried flat. So in the future, if I make anything else that's slab built like this, I will absolutely be using the plaster bats. These are my tiny little chimney pieces. And here are all of the pieces of the 4 houses once everything is cut out. There's actually more than this, I just didn't get it on video. And now it was almost the end of my workday, so I wanted to get something put together, and I thought the best course of action would be to work on my little chimney pieces so that they could set, and when I come in tomorrow, they could just be stuck onto the roof and hopefully save me some time. I started by scoring each side that would be adhered to itself. At this point, these were actually the first pieces that I cut out, and because they had been laying out the longest, they were the most leather hard. So I really wanted to make sure that these scored edges were equally as wet so that it didn't crack or pull apart when it was drying. After smoothing everything out, I was pretty happy with this one, so I went ahead and made the other three, and that was pretty much the end of the day. So I wrapped everything up really well in plastic so that nothing dried too much overnight, and I'll see you tomorrow.